I know it's been a while since I did a review on a TNA DVD. I know we were saying TNA, are they still in business? Well, they are, kind of. They're going to be going on Pop TV in January. So I just like to do a quick review on this. It's Bound for Glory 2013. Now, I feel this pay-per-view was important because it was the beginning of the end for this company, or when the company started to take a downfall. So this is 2013. As you can see in the cover, Jeff Hardy's on the cover here. A really bad cover of all. I mean, I don't know why they just featured Jeff Hardy. He wasn't even he wasn't even like in the main event of this pay-per-view. I mean, of all the covers that they could have come up with. Here's the back cover right here, and it's a 2-bit set. So we got so I just want to read off the wrestlers that participated in this pay-per-view. Now, this happened about 2 years ago, and it feels like this pay-per-view was like 5-10 years ago of how much TNA has changed. But look at the wrestlers that are not even part of TNA anymore. We got AJ Styles, Bully Ray, Kurt Angle, which is his contract is coming to an end, so he's going to pretty much be done with the company. Austin Aries, Chris Sabin, Samoa Joe, James Storm, Gunner, ODB, Brooke, Bad Influence, which was Christopher Daniels, and Kazarian, and Chavo, and Hernandez. So, I mean, even though this was 2 years ago, it feels really like a long, long time ago because of all these wrestlers that are not part of the company anymore. So let's get into the match. This is actually a pretty good event. Now, this took place at the San Diego State University, and I don't know if you've seen pictures online, but like half the ring was there was empty seats, and then certain camera shots you could actually see that half the side of the arena it was completely like empty. I guess poor ticket sales, but it was a pretty good show. So you start off with the Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship. Aries, Manic, Sabin, Hardy, and Samoa Joe. I feel like this match was kind of thrown together. I guess the creative team didn't know what to do with Jeff Hardy, Austin Aries, and Samoa Joe, so they just threw them together into this Ultimate X match. In my opinion, you see one Ultimate X match, you've kind of seen them all. There's no big, differences. Kind of like, any ladder match that you see is kind of like the same thing, Jeff Hardy is pretty cool because he kind of added the ladder element into the match. He used the ladder. The ending was kind of, wasn't really a climatic ending. It was just like Velvet Sky, who was with Chris Sabin. She distracted Jeff Hardy, and Chris Sabin got up, went on the ladder, and took the belt. It was kind of like, just out of nowhere, and it wasn't really like such a big ending to the match. Then we have Bad Influence. They come down. They cut a promo that they want to be part of the tag team match at for the titles. And Eric Young comes down. They do a confrontation. They attack him, and then the Abyss comes out and returns. And then we have the tag team match. James Storm and Gunner defending against the Bromans. It was a decent tag team match. Nothing too impressive. This is before James Storm turned heel and did the Revolution gimmick. So he was still a babyface. And then we have, I think they did the Hall of Fame ceremony. Sting comes down and they make the announcement of the new inductee, which was Kurt Angle. And I guess unlike WWE, they give out watches instead of the rings. And Kurt Angle said he's not worthy of the nomination right now, and so he doesn't accept it. Next match, we have Knockout Championship, ODB versus Gail Kim and versus Brooke. Gail Kim, I wish she goes back to WWE. Now that WWE is more focused on the women's division or Divas division, I feel that she's a really good wrestler, and she could really play a significant role in that division. Because TNA doesn't look like they're going anywhere. And then we get Kurt Angle versus Bobby Roode. That was actually a pretty good match. Kurt Angle, he always has some good matches. I like the history in that match because, Bobby Roode, they actually wrestled each other, I think, Bound for Glory 2011. And we had Magnus versus Sting. Sting's last Bound for Glory pay-per-view. You can see where they would go, what direction they were going in this match. It looks like they were trying to build Magnus up. He was, they planted the seeds for his heel turn, and eventually he would turn heel, and then he would go on and win the TNA title. And it's just unfortunate that all of a sudden they pushed him into that position, and all of a sudden, come 2014, mid 2014, they kind of like went in a different direction. I don't know why they did that. And then the main event was AJ Styles versus Bully Ray. Bully Ray, had this was probably one of his biggest years. They were right in the middle of the Aces of 8 angle. And I mean, this is probably one of his biggest years. He was the biggest thing in TNA in 2013, and we have AJ Styles in probably one of his probably best storylines in recent years. And he had that storyline kind of like they compared to Sting of 1997, where we didn't know what side he was on. We didn't know if he was going to be part of TNA or if he was going to join Aces in 8. And, it turns out, he was on TNA's side. And then they also added the element with his contract coming to an end. So they added that kind of like CM Punk 2011 kind of storyline. So during the middle of the match, it was a pretty good match. Bully Ray kind of dominated most of the match in the beginning. And then AJ Styles makes that comeback. AJ Styles takes a pretty good bump on the announce table. I thought that was pretty good. And then, Dixie Carter comes down because they wanted to do that I guess because she was turning heel, and she hands Bully Ray a chair, and but AJ finally makes a comeback and then wins the title, and he goes into the crowd. So it was a decent match, decent card. If you look back, you kind of look at what direction TNA could have gone. Unfortunately, after this pay-per-view, they kind of fell apart. AJ Styles, they didn't decide not to resign AJ Styles. They ran into money issues. One by one, top talent was leaving. Sting. Kurt Angle was still around, but I think he got some knee injuries and stuff, so he wasn't really involved. But this is I would say is pretty much the last good pay-per-view before. I guess you would say the last pay-per-view of the Hogan era and the Bischoff era. I mean, even though Hogan's not really on this at all, but this is kind of like the last part, and then eventually